Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. It is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. A lot going on today, so we're going to go ahead and go right into it. We are approaching the end of the week for the holidays. It's a hump day, kind of, and I expect volume to kind of lighten up over the next couple of days significantly. As of right now, the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield are they're set to rise. And when they do, it's going to put pressures on the market for the prices to kind of retract a bit. And we see that the futures are in agreement with that. We'll see what happens. It's not financial advice, but it's just the higher probabilities of what may go on today. So you had stocks win in the green yesterday, but we're basically on 10 green candles, 10 green daily candles, and it is time for a red balance. So as I said, basically the statistics are for a pullback today in some aspect. Doesn't have to be a smooth one, could be a little choppy. We've got inflation is still returning for now. So for the longer term, suggesting physical commodities, physical gold and silver, if you can purchase bullion. So going into our calendar, we are getting some consumer confidence and then also home sales today with crude inventories. And then I brought up Thursday because we're going to be getting the GDP and jobless claims prior to market open tomorrow. So that could have an effect. And make sure you can position your portfolio, your trades tonight. So the economy, real economy and energy, we've got a few stories going on here. So oil is recovering a bit. It's been pretty suppressed lately. But as the Red Sea issues are going on with the Houthi attacking ships, cargo ships, this includes oil. So now some of the oil companies have halted their deliveries through that area. So this is going to be inflation. I've talked about this the last couple of days, that it's also going to cause supply disruptions and other issues, just like we saw back a little while ago with the issue with the pandemic. So we've got a couple other stories in the real economy going on. FedEx had a miss in their profits, so they cut their entire year revenue forecast and their shares dropped. So they are an indicator, as we've always kind of watched here. We've got our cardboard indicator, watching shipping boxes basically and containers, because if people are not shipping or moving goods, then the real economy will be going down, real trade going down. So kind of a couple of stories that follow on with this. Talking about King Dollar seeing vulnerability in 2024 if the Fed pivots. So if they cut rates, then that's basically going to sacrifice the currency and make the dollar weak. Now, it is still the reserve currency, so it's not going to plummet or hyperinflate immediately. However, it does bring much higher risk in that realm and increases the chances of those coming even faster. So we've got the United States now and China are kind of battling right now. They are the top credit ratings to watch, and they don't mean in a good way. So those two are both kind of on warning, if you will, for credit downgrades from the credit rating agencies. If this happens, that increases the interest rates that the countries must pay on their loans and would make their debt unsustainable. So that's quite important, actually. So we've got global banks. This story, so they're in uh, such incredible disconnect. Global banks see no recession. U.S. companies, however, are more circumspect. So we've got some um, specific examples in here. The words used by companies to describe demand, and this was during the last 125, 130 earnings calls with different companies. So they used terms like soft, sluggish, slow, lackluster, choppy, muted, constrained, challenging, weak, pressured, and uneven. And we have Walmart, which is possibly the largest retailer in the United States. They said earlier in this month that while they were surprised by the resilience in the consumer in the year facing the rising prices, that behavior is changing and turning cautious. So I think what they were saying is basically over this past year, consumers have been living either off their credit cards or off any type of equity that was left. Their savings have been drained, and now they're beginning the phase where they're selling their goods and turning it into the money. We've also had this other story, which happened to be in a different section, but talking about a firm and how they are offering buy now, pay later loans at Walmart self checkouts. Again, largest retailer, but the section that is significant in my view is that they were offering buy now, pay later for their grocery section. So if people cannot afford their groceries today, they're adding on loans that they will be paying these off over the interim. So unless there are serious rate cuts or something to stem that, then that's going to pile up and become a debt bomb later. So with companies and commercial real estate and business, we have the company Cigna. So they're talking about selling the Chrysler building in New York because they're going insolvent. So if you don't know, this is a photograph of the Chrysler building. It is an icon, New York City. If you're not aware of it and just wanted to give you a picture of it, it's been around quite some time. Absolutely beautiful building, in my opinion. And yeah, they're having to sell their stake in it because they are basically going bankrupt. We've also got Toshiba delisting after 74 years. So being taken private by a group of investors, this is also a huge story. So just companies going under right and left. We will be seeing more banks going under as well. So we're in interesting times. And then we've got another Congress and just the politicians in general for the United States. Janet Yellen saying the United States highlights artificial intelligence as a risk to the financial system. Well, yes, artificial intelligence is a risk to our financial system because artificial intelligence can do math. And it just shows that banking system is completely unstable. So they're talking about a different aspect of it. However, it's going to basically blow the top off their schemes, is what they're afraid of. So, coupled with that, Elizabeth Warren is trying to put in place surveillance legislation for cryptocurrencies and basically know your customer and trying to make everything completely transparent and putting in completely invasive, privacy invasive laws to help the big banks. So, but as I said, not much to worry about from her. Most of her bills don't get passed, so she just kind of is like a barking dog, and if you ignore her long enough, she goes away. So, now moving on to lava updates, and I think this one is important for more than just the surface story. So, before I speak about this one, I just want to say that I try to keep politics out of this for the most part, other than in general, the politicians in the United States and Western countries, I think are a little bit far off from reality. However, what happened was Trump was barred from Colorado's presidential primary ballot. And the reason I put this here is because the method that they did this and the first, this shows fear, and they've got some issues with this, but the way that they did this is completely against the people. It is not in line with the Constitution. And really, I'm bringing this up because it is a direct concern that they're willing to do whatever it takes to push forward their agenda. And they're definitely not for the people, have not been for a long time. And if you question this, look into this. So, kind of spoke about this a while ago. We've been talking about resources. We've got the World Economic Forum now talking about water. And the things she was speaking about are completely disturbing. The elite are trying to control our resources. And in her own words, if you listen to the video, she says that their attempt to vaccinate the entire planet failed. Climate change is too abstract, but the coming water crisis is something that even a child can understand. So, along with that, there was also a separate story, and it's talking about California approving rules to convert sewage waste into drinking water. So, that's not the type of stuff that I want to support. Anyway, So I've got my final thing I would like to touch on is North Korea. Now that they have basically nuclear power, talking about how they've got their most powerful weapon ready if the United States makes a wrong decision, or actually what it translated was wrongful thinking. So Kim Jong-un is just kind of a wild card in a bunch. Anyway, we've got a lot of good stuff coming, but kind of looking for a bit of a pullback in the markets. So with that, I wish you a great trading day, wonderful day in general. If you're taking up for the holidays, I wish you a wonderful holidays, and I will see you when you return. Until then, my friends, stay free.